thanking you for this opportunity to come in your presence once again. We ask that you bless this meeting, bless our community, bless our leaders, oh Master, in a mighty way. But keep us in the hollow of your hands so we do the things that you find pleasing in your sight. We're praying for those who lost through tornadoes and other areas, oh Master, but keep us lifted up. We ask it all in Christ's name for our sake, amen.
Amen. Mr. Wilson, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mary Ann, will you please call the roll?
Chair Purrier,
Here.
Vice Chair Harris, Mr. Wilson,
here.
Councilwoman George, Mr. Strouser,
Here.
Mayor Brown, Mr. Morrell.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Does the Secretary have prior minutes to submit for approval?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got minutes May the 15th, May the 22nd. I move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion by the Secretary and a second by C.J. Morrell. Any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, then call for the vote. All those in favor of approval of the prior minutes indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion approved. Let me read through the agenda very briefly this evening. We have 6 items on the consent agenda and an additional 10 items on the regular agenda plus other business. Item number 1 is surety renewals and extensions, the City of Gallatin. Item number 2 is Chandler Park Phase 2, subdivision of Lot 1, a final plat. Item number 3 is Twin Eagles Phase 15, Section A, a final plat. Item number 4 is Nexus TN Phase 1, Section 4, final plat. Item number 5 is Sky House Townhomes, a final master development plan. Item number 6 is Carrollton Phase 5, infrastructure and easements and accept public improvements. Those 6 items are our consent agenda. And then the regular agenda items include item number 7, which is Mallard Industrial Park site plan. Item number 8 is 1113 Spencer Avenue Garage site plan. Item number 9 is Tompkins edition of re-subdivisions of lots 10, 11, and 12, a final plat. Item number 10 is 7 Brew Coffee, a preliminary master development plan. Item number 11 is Foxland Harbor Marina, an amended preliminary master development plan. Item number, and I'm sorry, that one, the previous one, that's item number 10, will include a public comment, and so will item number 11, will include a public comment. Item number 12, which will also include a public comment, is Patriot Angels Wedding Venue, an amended preliminary master development plan and final master development plan. And item number 13 is Cumberland Place North, Phase 5, Section 2, an amended preliminary master development plan and revised final master development plan. It too will include a public comment. Item number 14 is Cumberland Place North, Phase 5, Section 3, an amended preliminary master development plan and revised final master development plan will also include a public comment. Item number 15 is Tennessee Grasslands, amended preliminary master development plan and revised final master development plan will also include a public comment. And item number 16 is Bank Tennessee, an amended site plan. Let me just check and see if I missed any public comments in the earlier ones. Yes, item number 10, 7 Brew Coffee will include a public comment. That's our agenda for this evening. Does anyone on the commission or the applicant wish to pull any item from the consent agenda and place it on the regular agenda? I will start out by pulling item number 5 and place it on the regular agenda. That is Sky House Townhomes, a final master development plan. Any others? See none, then I'll entertain does any applicant wish to pull an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, then I will entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 6 with the exception of 5. We have a motion to approve by Mr. Wilson, seconded by Albert. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval of consent agenda items 1 through 6 with the exception of 5 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda items are approved. We'll go straight into item number 5, which is Sky House Townhomes, a final master development plan.
Val Martinez, planning staff. The owner and applicant are requesting approval of a final master development plan for Sky House Townhomes for 7 multifamily detached dwelling units totaling 6,930 square feet on 0.65 plus or minus acre parcel located north of Chambers Street and west of Magnolia Street, and 2 multifamily detached duplex dwelling units totaling 1,892 square feet on a 0.19 acre parcel. Both of these are zoned R6 high density residential. This is a resubmittal. Last month, we had asked them for a lot redesign, being able to reconfigure some of the driveways and parking spaces, as well as the addition of landscaping to the lots. These were met. Planning did have a couple comments. We would like to see confirmation regarding architecture and ensuring that these were going to meet the 70% brickstone requirement. And I believe that stormwater did have some additional questions. I'm not sure if those were ever met, but planning does recommend approval with conditions. And here is the architecture mock-up for one of the lots located on Magnolia Street. We're still missing the DeMoss.
And do we have a representative for the applicant present?
Sir, Zach Baker with Greenwood Design. We agree with all staff comments, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Zach, I believe the reason that staff had requested that item 5 be considered on the regular agenda, and I think the issue is the lack of architectural designs for the units on DeMoss Street. Is that correct, staff?
Yes, sir, that was discussed at work session. I've asked for it, but have not received it yet.
Well, then I'll ask, are they going to be the same as the ones that we're seeing here for the other street? And I can't remember the name of the other street.
To my knowledge, yes, sir.
I have a question to staff. Are you satisfied with these architectural designs, or is there a way to put a condition that they meet your approval, since we don't have the designs for DeMoss Street?
These designs represent the buildings on Chambers Street and not the duplex units or the duplex on DeMoss Street. So we didn't have that. It is a different design. These units on Chambers Street are detached, essentially multifamily detached units, whereas the ones on DeMoss Street are attached units, a typical duplex. So that is the primary concern, is we didn't have that architecture. The architecture for the others indicate brick on all sides, front and sides of the building, as well as, I believe it showed the brick on the rear view too. It's board and batten, sorry about that, on the back side of the homes, which is an alternative architecture because our code requires that the brick be provided 70% brick or stone as a minimum of materials on all facades. The architecture, however, if you do have that, it is consistent with most of the structures in the neighborhood for the detached units, but we do need to have that for the DeMoss and the features for the DeMoss units. We don't have any other roof lines or any indication of what those materials might be.
I think what I'm hearing is that we'd like to give you approval on Chambers, but Chambers and DeMoss, these are attached as one item, and we don't have all necessary information to look at it yet. So I'll make a motion to defer it.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor of deferral indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. The motion has been deferred on the part of the planning commission, so bring the items and we'll look at it next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 7, which is resolution number 2023-088, Mallard Industrial Park Site Plan.
The owner and applicant are requesting approval of a site plan for the Mallard Industrial Park for over 500,000 square feet of office and warehouse space and associated infrastructure on a 52.28 acre parcel. This is located south of Long Hollow Pike and west of Highway 109, and the property is zoned IR Industrial Restrictive. The development includes 5 buildings, each within its own phase to be connected by private driveways. Access will be provided by 2 driveways to and from Belvedere Drive. The project will potentially encroach into the Long Hollow Pike Highway 109 roadway improvements forecasted in the coming years. Staff would still expect all landscaping and stormwater requirements be met with the adjustment of property boundaries, however that occurs. The landscaping plan will be revised to meet the type 25 buffer yard requirement, and additional evergreen planting should be added along Highway 109. This is to assist with the screening of the rear of these buildings. They will be visible, the rears of them will be visible from the highway, but you can't build parapets tall enough to screen all of that. So they will be doing additional landscaping to mitigate that where possible, so that in the future that will have better screening along the highway. Right now, it's still pretty bare. And then they will maintain existing vegetation along the railroad tracks on the south side, where they will not have any construction other than stormwater features. The applicant is also requesting approval of alternative architecture. This alternative architecture is similar to other industrial projects that we've seen recently, particularly along Airport Road. So this is pretty consistent with what we've been approving recently. Staff does recommend approval of resolution number 2023-088 with 22 conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a representative for the applicant present?
Sir, Zach Baker with Greenwood Design. We agree to all staff comments, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, I understand that the project is in 3 phases. The 3rd phase, the northernmost phase, is closest to Long Hollow Pike, but I can't find the phase map. Can you direct me to the?
We've asked for some clarification on how those phases are going to be laid out.
Yeah, they show it, it's just not,
It's not labeled.
it is labeled, but it's very small text.
Scale's so large that, yeah.
Okay,
You're probably not going to be able to see it on
You
here.
have to zoom in really close to see.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to zoom in on here.
so is it kind of intuitive? The first phase are those 2 buildings to the southern end. The 2nd phase is the middle, and the 3rd is the northernmost phase?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
When will the northern entrance go in, or what phase?
It was showing phase 3 for
Yes,
the
the final
northern
phase.
entrance. Yeah.
The condition, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, Steve.
I was going to say, that, I mean, the main entrance into the park is the southern entrance.
Yes.
So was it condition number 17, which I think refers to the Belvedere, the northern entrance? Is that what 17 refers to? 17 says, add the following note: the northern connection to Belvedere Drive shall be a right in, right out until Belvedere is disconnected from Long Hollow Pike. Then when Belvedere is disconnected from Long Hollow Pike, I'm assuming that is only a left turn out of there. I mean, there's nowhere to go. Is that correct?
Right, and it's a full access, but yes, it'll be at the cul-de-sac bulb, essentially, is the expectation with the TDOT project.
But they'll just pull the pork chop out
Right.
once.
We would expect the
This
TDOT
connection
project
happens.
to do that, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a warehouse distribution center, is that right? Yes. Engineering, I don't really know exactly how to ask the question, but have you looked at, are you comfortable with the impact of the traffic that this will generate on Belvedere? And I'm not really sure how they get from Belvedere to 386 and Long Hollow at this point.
We are asking for some more information about that. They gave us a little bit, but we still need a little bit more. And we're actually talking with TDOT to try to work on like how their traffic, because it's going to impact our system one way until the TDOT project is built, and then it's going to be really completely different. And so we're working with TDOT to make sure that what it looks like 10 years from now, it still works as well as it possibly can. And so I think it's note number 15, where we're looking to provide in-depth trip generation and trip assignments for the site plan that analyzes before and after the Belvedere Drive disconnection. And so we do believe that they'll have a decent idea of which way they think traffic will want to enter and exit their site, and that's what we're looking for. So ultimately, once it gets to the disconnection from Belvedere and Long Hollow Pike, it'll all be funneled back to Belvedere Drive at whatever this new, I don't know if it's Offutt Drive extension, whatever that road may be called, but it'll go to that intersection, and then now we're looking at which way do they expect traffic to be dispersed from there, turning left or turning right, or how will they come in from the left or from the right? And I think that's going to be the main point of emphasis for us. And probably, I don't know, we may end up with a signalized intersection there with the TDOT project. Not sure.
Where?
Belvedere and Long Hollow, the proposed Long Hollow extension. Because in TDOT's master plan, Belvedere no longer extends to Gallatin Road.
Right. So where would the signalized intersection be?
At where Belvedere is tied, so eventually
Where Calvert and Belvedere intersect right now.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially.
near the
Okay.
county building.
So I guess that's my question, is that this is a preliminary site plan. There will be a final site plan stage later? No?
This is,
No.
this is the
it.
site plan.
So we will expect to see engineering construction plans given to our office for the construction. So this is not extremely detailed as it's been submitted to the planning staff. So this is just really showing you the architecture, showing where their access points are going to be, showing what buffer yards are going to be required, and then they'll submit to us separately for the detail on the construction. And we do expect that detail to come in phases and not just this one big plan for all of it at one time, according to what we understand from them.
So where in the process would we look at the trip generation, the amount of traffic?
We
and
want,
how
we
that
want
would-
that with this. That's going to be part of this approval. That's why it's listed as a condition of approval. So it is important for the planning approval. We just don't have it yet with this. They gave us some numbers, but I think they just weren't quite what we needed yet.
But the assumption is that will be submitted with the construction plans they submit for y'all's approval.
Well, I hope that they try to address all these comments before they start to submit to us the erosion or the engineering construction plans. There's a number of other comments that I know. I think we had probably around number 10 through 17, and then, there's another 15 or so.
Yeah, they'll be
Comments that-
resubmitting back to us, and planning and stormwater and engineering will all be looking at this set of plans again and make sure it meets the conditions. And then they'll have their whole engineering detailed process. And if something significant changes, we will bring it back to you guys.
Okay.
Let me just state my concern. It's a good project, it's a good use for the site, don't get me wrong, but for years, we've been wanting to remedy or fix this issue with Long Hollow Pike, and now we're really close. TDOT's got a plan in place, and we're moving forward. The traffic's going to be diverted down, I think it's Calvert Drive, is that what's going to come over from was Long Hollow Pike, and it'll extend over to Belvedere, is that
That's-
Calvert?
Yes, essentially right there at that intersection.
So
Yes.
that's going to be the bulk of the traffic coming in. A lot of traffic coming in from Gallatin's going to be coming Calvert. I just don't know how many trips this generates, how much traffic this generates. I hope that we don't go and overwhelm our solution before we even get the solution on the ground. So I'd just like to know, at what point do we know how many trips this generates? And if this property needs to contribute towards some traffic improvements to make sure that
Well, I mean, the traffic study is going to have recommendations that come along with it. And I'm assuming that traffic study is gonna analyze the proposed TDOT plan.
So the way we're looking at this is the TDOT plan is going to be the solution.
Yeah.
And so what we expect is that if they can give us the appropriate numbers, we can take that and give to TDOT, and they can incorporate whatever improvements would be needed for their development. We've got other developments that we would expect the same thing to happen as well. So I don't really anticipate them to need to make any improvements because
The TDOT plan is
this
supposed
whole
to-
thing's going to be redone. And we expect that TDOT would be making whatever improvements are necessary, including, the signalized intersection, if a signal needs to go up or something like that.
well, you're the engineer. If you're not concerned, I shouldn't be concerned.
Well, and at the end of the day, it's going to be ultimately engineering's final approval that allows them to construct this with the recommendations that come with the traffic study and everything else. This meets the allowed use that's, from a zoning ordinance standpoint, they're allowed to do this. But from an engineering standpoint, that comes down to our engineering department to decide whether or not they can build it. Or at least have the infrastructure that
Right.
is there.
I'm not worried about the trips that are generated from it. John, just like we were talking a few minutes before, I think the main thing is just whatever the right-of-way impacts are up there near Long Hollow Pike, and us making sure that we're reserving the appropriate space and area there for that portion of the TDOT project to be built. That's the thing that I want to make sure that we get right from these folks. And we met with them back a couple of weeks ago, and they seemed like they were definitely on board with what we were talking about. We just need to get that information from TDOT so that they can show it correctly.
Be good?
I just want to interject real quick. You keep saying traffic study. You are not going to require a traffic study, just volume estimates.
Number 15, I'll read it again. In-depth trip generation and trip assignments for the site plan before and after. So you did give us some trip generation numbers. I think there may have been some issue with some of that, but we need the trip generation and we need assignments. So which direction are these trips going
Okay,
and coming from?
okay.
So both before and after. So what it does now and then what it would be after the TDOT project is built.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not a full-blown traffic study where you're going to have to take counts or anything like that. That's all going to be included and incorporated in the TDOT study and what they're doing. We're just needing what you think you're going to contribute to the system.
Okay.
Other questions or discussion?
I'm assuming y'all are comfortable with the stormwater improvements as well.
Yeah, we didn't see anything, we don't have the design, but the areas seem to be okay. Again, just a little bit of concern up there on the very north end, making sure that that there's space there after the acquisition is made, but we'll work through those details a little bit later.
Well, if there are no other, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve with all conditions.
Okay, the motion is made by Mr. Wilson to approve with all staff's 22 conditions.
I'll second.
Seconded by C.J. Morrell. Any discussion? Seeing none, then take a vote. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, motion approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is resolution number 2023-089, 1113 Spencer Avenue. It's a garage site plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jim Carpenter, staff planner. The owner and applicant request approval of a site plan for a 576 square foot accessory structure with alternative architecture on a 0.6 acre lot zoned R15 R15, located at 1113 Spencer Avenue. The owner and applicant proposed to construct a detached accessory garage consisting of metal siding. It will be accessed by the existing driveway for the property. There are other similar structures in the neighborhood, including one approved by the Planning Commission at 819 Spencer in May of 2022. Planning staff recommends denial of resolution number 2023-089.
All right, thank you. Do we have a representative for the applicant or the applicant themselves? No one in the audience? Staff, did you hear anything? Did the applicant intend to be here? I can
The
table
applicant
this.
did. I haven't heard anything that they could, but I
They
do
were-
know that they intended, as of Friday afternoon, to be here.
They were here for the work session, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I was wondering if y'all would like to move item number 8. I don't know if I can do that after it's already started, but I think we can table this and move it to the end of the discussion, just
I
to
think
give.
we agree. I think we've done that before, haven't we? Where we've moved it to the end?
We table this, y'all remind me, and we'll just move it to the end of our discussion to give the applicant an opportunity to show up. All right, suspended that one temporarily, and we'll move on to item number 9, which is resolution number 2023-078, Tompkins Edition, re-subdivision of lots 10, 11, and 12, a final plat.
Emily Lang, staff planner. The owner and applicant request approval of a final plat, which includes the re-subdivision of lots 10 through 12 in the Tompkins Edition subdivision to create 4 lots, renamed the Tompkins Edition re-subdivision of lots 10, 11, and 12 on .79 acres located south of Smith Street and west of South Westland Avenue at 218 South Westland. The property is zoned R6, high-density residential district. Each lot will be approximately 8,615.09 square feet in size, which exceeds the minimum lot area of the R6 district. The applicant will obtain shared driveway permits as each pair of lots develop into single-family residences. Staff recommends approval of resolution 2023-138.
Thank you. Do we have a representative for the applicant present?
Yes, I'm the applicant, Michael Barnes.
You want to add anything to staff's comments?
Is it pertaining to the shared driveway? Oh, no, I don't have anything.
Okay. Any questions? Staff, you really don't have any issues with this, do y'all? It's just, okay. If there's no question, I'll entertain a motion for approval, or motion, rather. Motion by Mr. Wilson to approve with staff's 4 conditions, and seconded by Albert Strother. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll take a vote. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. It's passed.
Thank you.
Thanks. Item number 10 is resolution number 2023-082, 7 Brew Coffee, preliminary master development plan, and there will be a public comment with this item.
Emily Lang, staff planner. The owner and applicant requests approval of a preliminary master development plan for 7 Brew Coffee on a 1.89 acre lot, zone PGC, Plan General Commercial, located south of Nashville Pike and east of North Blue Jay Way. The applicant intends to construct a 531 square foot coffee shop with drive-through lanes on the property. Food service drive-in is a permitted use in the PGC Plan General Commercial Zone. The PMDP includes architectural elevations of the proposed building with a color material finish schedule. The color palette is predominantly dark gray with silver, black, and blue metal accents. The facade shows a primarily dark gray brick rectangular building with a blue carved metal standing seam roof and black metal awnings on two sides to accommodate the drive-through. The materials meet the minimum 70% brick stone requirement, and 2 of the proposed signs in the building will be illuminated. The Planning Department recommends approval of resolution number 2023-082 with 6 conditions.
Thank you, Emily. Do we have a representative for the applicant present?
Jim Harrison, CSDG. We're in agreement with all the 6 conditions and just here to answer any questions as needed.
Floor to questions. It's a great use for the site. Looks good. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. At this time, I'll open a public comment. If there's anybody who would like to speak in regards to item number 10, 7 Brew Coffee. None, I'll close the public comment. Now, questions or motion?
To approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Albert and second by CJ. And that's, I'm assuming, approved with all 6 staff conditions, correct? Any discussion?
Sir.
Okay, well then, call for the vote. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Not opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 11 is resolution number 2023-090. It's Foxland Harbor Marina, an amended preliminary master development plan. And this will include a public comment, and it will also include a vote on whether it's a major or minor amendment.
The owner and applicant request approval of the Foxland at Fairview amended PMDP for the Foxland Harbor Marina on 3.86 acres located south of Nashville Pike and east of Douglas Bend Road. The original preliminary master development plan for Foxland at Fairview was approved by Planning Commission in 2005 and City Council in February of 2006. Discussions of including a marina at the site are on record since the original Foxland at Fairview master plan in 2005. Let me put it up on. Here it is. Although staff could not find any ordinances formally approving the use, this plan mentions but does not approve the marina use within this master plan, and notes in the file acknowledge that an amendment would likely need to be approved. So again, we've had a lot of discussions about the marinas over the years, but I did not find anything formally that added it to this master plan. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers requested applications for a proposed marina at various sites in the area, including the site indicated with this PMDP amendment. The Foxland Harbor Marina Group is moving forward with their application, which has prompted this request. The Army Corps of Engineers property located to the south of the Foxland Master Plan came in and got approval of a conditional use permit at Thursday's BZA meeting. So that is one portion of this use. It's along where the existing boat ramp is. So this is for the addition of the intermediate impact use to the formal Foxland Master Plan. That's the area where they're proposing some new parking, a restaurant, and then the boat slips will obviously be off the water, which again, the water is the jurisdiction of the Army Corps of Engineers. Should this request be approved, then a site plan FMDP will be required to handle all the bulk aspects of the plan. That's where we'll get into the details of any buffer yards, parking, architecture. That's where we're really getting to the meat of that. But right now, we are just adding the intermediate impact use, which has a conditional use permit requirement to this master plan. The Planning Department recommends approval of the resolution number 2023-090 with 3 conditions. Staff did recommend this item as a major amendment due to the change of use, although the intent of a marina at this location has been discussed for a long time. So that is something that you guys can discuss, a minor versus a major vote here. And we would also have a public comment requirement as well. and the applicant is here this evening.
All right. I'll begin with a public comment. Is there anyone who would like to speak in regards to item number 11, the Foxland Harbor Marina? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment and ask for a representative for the applicant to step forward.
Hello, I'm Matt Huff with Gamble Design Collaborative. I think that was pretty much all we would have said, so I appreciate that, Jillian, and we're happy to answer any questions you all have.
Discussion or questions?
Yeah,
Is it gonna be a 5-star restaurant?
At least.
remind me where y'all are in the process. So y'all are basically trying to get everything back into the Corps to continue moving through their process.
Correct, yeah, August 21st is the submittal date to the Corps for not only this site, but the other 2 sites that they outlined, and we'll be competing against other groups. And so they'll select a group and then proceed with them through the site plan phase and stuff through the city.
And does this have to be fully approved before y'all resubmit it to the Corps? Or at least
Well,
preliminarily approved?
I believe it has to be preliminarily approved.
So they need a letter from us that says that they meet the zoning code requirement. And right now, because it's a conditional use, we couldn't write that letter until the use is added to this master plan. So I believe I think that would probably meet the minimum of what they need, because we can figure out the bulk regulations later. But right now, we need to add the use formally for us to give them a letter that says they have approval for a marina here.
In regards to the major and minor, I know we have a litmus test that we're supposed to look at. Is it a change of use, change of density, change of circulation? And if it's any of those, then it is a major amendment and it needs to be sent to council. This is one time I don't think we should follow that litmus test. Council and Planning Commission have been talking about this marina for as long as I've been on this board. And I would be really comfortable with a minor amendment. But that's just my opinion, and just see what everybody else thinks about that, because we need to take a vote as to whether it's a major or minor. Major being sent back to council. Does anyone want to weigh in on that?
You say staff recommends,
We recommended major simply because it is a use change, but we do acknowledge that this has been talked about for a really long, this isn't new information.
Which is why you stress that in your presentation.
If AI was doing this, it would classify as major. It fits the change of use.
Staff
But,
is AI if you want to look at it like that.
I'll make a motion to be a major.
Do we hear a second to that?
No second.
Okay, motion dies for lack of second.
And I move we make it a minor.
Okay. Do we hear a second to that? I'll be happy to second that, so we can have a discussion. So it's a motion that it be a minor amendment, and I seconded it. Discussion on major or minor? Any?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, for as long as I can remember, the discussion is, I mean, I feel like every single exhibit we've seen of the new stuff going on in Foxland, the marina has been shown as a representation of something, even though it was never on the master plan. So I feel like in some regards, it's been either shown or brought up in just about every meeting that we've been a part of, all the new additions to Foxland. So I would be comfortable, I mean, this is like a very unique case where I'd be comfortable saying, yes, it's a minor.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, we have a motion on the floor with a second that it be considered a minor amendment. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of being a minor amendment indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, it is a minor amendment. Now to the item itself, any discussion or questions for them regarding details of the plan?
No, I mean, y'all, as far as this approval, obviously being a minor, once y'all get it approved and y'all send it back, would y'all go through the full process of the Corps before y'all submit FNVP?
I think we would have to get through the selection process, and then once we'd been selected, that's when we would come back through and
Okay.
work through the site plan and FMDP with you all.
Okay.
The Army Corps has their own requirements, and
Yeah.
so we'll obviously want to make sure they're meeting everything they need,
Yeah.
and then they can come to us. And they're aware now of our requirements, so I think they'll be able to make their plan consistent with that.
I will say this is a huge need for our community. I'll make a motion to approve with all staff comments.
Motion to approve with, I believe there's only four, wait a minute.
Three.
Three comments, yeah. And we have a motion by C.J. Morrell to approve with the staff's three conditions, seconded by Albert Strother. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay. Motion approved unanimously. Thank you.
Go.
Item number 12 is resolution number 2023-048, Patriot Angels Wedding Venue, an amended preliminary master development plan and final master development plan. This will include a public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim Carpenter, staff planner. The owner and applicant request approval of an amended preliminary master development plan for Patriot Angels and a final master development plan for Graham Wedding Venue on a portion of a 45.9 acre parcel zoned MU mixed-use zone district located north of Harris Lane and east of Greenlee Boulevard. The owner and applicant propose to use an existing structure on the property and portions of other existing structures on the property as a wedding venue. The use was added as an allowed use for the zone district in 2019 as part of an amendment to a PMDP. The applicant is requesting some various exceptions from driveway spacing requirements and architecture, among other, for the development. And this is a little bit unique in that the applicant did email me earlier. They won't be here, but they want some direction from this body in terms of what would be required to make this work. And so that's kind of where we are and why this is before you tonight. So staff is recommending deferral. There's a ton of conditions, but I think the applicant's desire is to have some guidance in terms of what would be required for parking, what's required for a driveway requirement, and what's going to be required for sidewalks along Harris Lane. Kind of at this stage before they resubmit. If it's, that may be me saying a little bit too much for them, but that's kind of where we are in the process. And we've been in the process with them since February on this.
Since February, I mean, just they've been going through the process, or they've actually requested to meet with y'all in person, both planning and engineering?
So, if, for the benefit of the room, this was originally submitted in conjunction with the house move. The projects were separated, but we have met with them since in person, and they're kind of at the point where they wanted to get some direction from Planning Commission in terms of, you know, would some of these exceptions, what was kind of the opinion on the body on some of the exceptions that they're requiring. Staff has included, I want to say, 23, 24 conditions of approval.
I thought it was 17.
17.
17, yeah.
Most of those are engineering and stormwater with that, but I think that's kind of where we are in the process.
Is the main issue the driveway spacing between the proposed office complex and the coffee shop? Or is it the driveway spacing between the proposed office complex and the existing residential drive? Or is it the one all the way to the east?
So, Nick, you want to answer that?
Option number 3?
All the way to the east?
Yeah.
Is there any consideration, sorry to cut you off, is there any consideration to the fact that the office driveway would be used during the week and the other driveway for the wedding venue would only be used for the weekend?
So the office driveway, which we really don't want to have driveways on the edge of the property. And that's where they're showing this, there's an existing driveway to a house right there that they want to use, convert that to the wedding venue and use that for their main driveway for the wedding venue. But when this was approved, however many, couple years ago or whatever it was, we took that as, here we've got 3 driveways spaced out here, and then we got an application just, last year on a townhome development directly to the east. We actually had them adjust driveways so that we could have appropriate spacing for 4 driveways now in this little short stretch. And so allowing this driveway to be reused and converted would put a driveway between 2 driveways that are minimally spaced. And we were even talking to the property owner. I don't know if we've had an application come through on the one that's all the way against the railroad track, but we've had a pre-application meeting for properties to add additional townhomes on towards the railroad track. And so we've been looking at that, working with them on the possibility of saving enough space to actually create a separated grade railroad crossing right there, and we think that we can make it work. And so we have traffic signals on both ends of Harris Lane. If we can make improvements to Harris Lane all the way through, this can be a nice road for Gallatin with a separated grade crossing over the railroad track. And so
Huge.
it's listed as a collector already on our major thoroughfare plan, even with the at-grade railroad crossing. That's not a very good railroad crossing. We're getting ready to begin to undergo revamping our major thoroughfare plan, updating it, and with it, I want to include a separated grade railroad crossing for Harris Lane. So it's important that we maintain good driveway spacing. I know they may be used at different times. Of course, the townhome development, those trips are going to be sporadic throughout the days and weekends and all that, so they'll conflict with any kind of wedding traffic for sure. The office may not. So, I mean, to your point there, which really helps that they kind of share that driveway, right? If they share the driveway, then it's perfect. Then they're only coming out for the wedding through the office when it's not in business or they're not operating, and vice versa.
Thanks for the context.
We got off on some discussion. I don't think I've opened a public comment to this yet. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at this time, would anybody in the public like to speak in regards to item number 12? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. And the applicant is not here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So discussion. If I understand the process correctly, if we defer this, this will be back before us a week from tonight and really unchanged from what we're seeing right here. But hopefully we have the applicant present to ask us for directions in regards to these conditions. Is that the
Yeah, that would,
state of things?
Yes.
Okay. This is a little unorthodox. Just my opinion, I hope you'll communicate to the applicant that if for personal reasons or being out of town, they're unable to be present for Monday night, they should really consider withdrawing this item until they've worked out some of these issues, because that'll be our work session to talk about it. I don't know what it is that they're wanting us to consider about these conditions without being able to talk to the applicant.
I mean, at the end of the day, if it's if the major issue is the driveway spacings, then they are already in conflict with engineering. And if they don't have I mean, we can try to come up with a solution, but that doesn't necessarily make engineering happy.
So do you need a motion to move for deferral?
Yeah, just keep in mind that if we defer this, you have to take action on this next month. Or
Even
it's
if
an
they're not
automatic
present at the
approval.
meeting?
I think engineering and stormwater already recommended deferral prior to this meeting.
Okay.
Because of the items that are on here. So I think we kind of came into this already knowing it's deferred from a staff standpoint.
But nonetheless, if we defer it, we have to take action on this next month.
I mean, they could always defer it again themselves.
They could defer, but we can't defer a second time.
I mean, you probably don't need to. You would, yeah.
Yeah, we're required
Yes,
to
I
take
understand what
action on
you're
it within
saying,
30 to 60
Yeah.
days? 60 from the
But
time.
is that out the window if they don't show up to the meeting?
Applicant?
Tasha Alexander, Assistant City Attorney. I'm not certain one way or the other on this one. There are certain items that this body is required to decide upon in a timely manner. I'm not certain this is one of those, so I'd have to do some research on that. Because I don't know that you have to in that time frame.
Yeah, I
But I
think
have to check the statute on that.
Pretty sure it applies to plats and site plans. This is a FMDP, it's like a site
Correct.
plan, but it is the final implementation of the zoning. So I don't know that it would,
So you're saying the clock
Oh.
doesn't tick on this?
it's.
Well,
it-
it's not
a zoning
defined
action.
within the statute that the clock ticks, and that's why I want to look at it, because I don't know any verbiage within the statute that says this is on a ticking clock. So I would need to look at it
Okay.
to give you a definitive answer.
Well, for tonight, I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I agree.
Do I hear a motion? I'll entertain a motion. Okay, we have a motion to defer made by Mr.
Second.
Wilson, seconded by C.J. Morrell. Any discussion on that? Then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of deferring the item indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, motion is deferred. I mean, the item is deferred.
Question?
Yeah.
Natasha? Okay, I'm gonna ask a quick question. If we have a public hearing on an item and then we defer that item, do you still have a public hearing the next meeting?
I'm going to say yes, because I felt like there shouldn't have been a public comment on this when we knew it was going to be deferred.
Okay,
So that's my opinion. I don't think we really,
okay. I'm just curious more than anything. Thank you.
that's up to this body. I mean, you had one, you did what you were required to do, but I would probably advise you to have one when we actually have an applicant and the issue is actually on the
Agreed.
agenda for that
Fully
purpose.
agree.
Should I not have called a public comment?
I'm not going to say what you should or should not have done because it was
Okay.
on the agenda for a public comment, but I'm saying the fact that staff recommended it for deferral kind of made the public comment kind of moot, in my opinion. I don't think there's a right or wrong.
Okay,
Got it.
thank you.
Item number 13 is resolution number 2023-085, Cumberland Place North, Phase 5, Section 2, an amended preliminary master development plan and revised final master development plan. And this will include a public comment.
Val Martinez, planning staff. Items number 13 and items number 14 are essentially the exact same, same phases, different sections. I don't know if you have to discuss them separately or.
No, present them together, but I'll take two separate votes.
The owner and applicant are seeking approval for an amendment to the preliminary master development plan and revised final master development plan. The request is to remove a greenway easement and walking trail. The removal of this easement is because it's located on the residential lots, essentially in the backyard of some homes. However, this easement was well established before the homes were constructed. This proposal to remove the 20-foot wide greenway easement is not consistent with this item will also need to be voted on as a major versus minor amendment. The removal of the walking trail / easement without a relocation is considered creating a substantial change to the pedestrian circulation and access. Therefore, staff recommends the change be considered major. After consulting with engineering department, planning staff will also recommend denial for both of these. This first one, as you can see, the trail would have been located on the southeast portion of the properties. Let's see. This is where it would go for this phase. And for the section 3, be on the northern portion. And again, at this time, a relocation has not been chosen.
All right. Let me open for item number, it was presented together. Let me open for item number 13. Public comment. Would anybody like to speak in regards to item 13?
Mr. Chairman, let me clarify. The staff report says approval of the resolution. We're not recommending approval of the resolution.
Correct.
Resolution is written for approval, but that's not our recommendation. That's a typo on either item.
Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. Maybe this is unorthodox, but let me open a public comment on item number 14 as well. Is there anyone who would like to speak in regards to item 14? Same issue, separate phase. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. Okay. All right. And a representative for the applicant?
Zach Baker with Greenland Design, happy to answer any questions. That was a good catch, Phil.
I'll lead off by telling you, at work session, we told you very clearly where we, well, no, I think the whole commission said pretty unanimously where we stand on this, we're with staff on that. However, we got to talk about whether it's a major or minor, and I really don't want to make this a major and send it to council, but this isn't quite the same argument as what we just had on the marina. This is a change in circulation. CJ, what do you think?
I mean, if there was an alternative shown, even at that, like, it'd be easier. At this rate, there's no alternative. I think it was mentioned at the work session that the homeowners don't want it, but there's also no one here stating that. So this looks very much as the developer just not wanting to put it in. If we make it a major, and this is just me spitballing, if we make it a major and we deny it, then it goes to council and they can approve it. If we make it a minor, I don't, this would be no different than a proposed plan coming in, not wanting to put a greenway in, and us saying the same thing. Like, you have to put the greenway in and meet the greenway plan that everyone else has to follow. And if you don't want to have it go along one side of your property, then you have to have an alternative to take it elsewhere. I know there may not be very many options, but we're also not seeing any options that are alternative. And so it makes it really hard for me to.
And if I understand this correctly, this is actually this is driven not by the developer not wanting to put a greenway in, but the homeowners not wanting to have the greenway in their backyard.
As well as HOA.
The HOA, yeah. My concern is that if we make this a major amendment and send to council, then every previously approved plan out there that has a greenway incorporated into it, if the HOAs decide they just don't want the greenway in there, then we have to send every one of these to council, which becomes a political issue of whether to enforce a previously approved greenway.
Correct.
I interpret circulation as roads. I'll make a motion that it's a minor amendment. And I almost never make motions, so I just took. Oh, on item 13, I'm making a motion that item 13 be a minor amendment. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Second by C.J. Morrell. Discussion on that? All those in favor of approval that it's a minor amendment indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Item 13 is a minor amendment. Can I do the same process for 14? We're handling these. Very good.
Motion to deny.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion to deny the request by C.J. Morrell, seconded by Albert Strother. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of denying the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion is denied. That's item 13. Item number 14 is the same thing. I'll make a motion that item number 14 be considered a minor amendment.
Second?
Second by C.J. Morrell. Any discussion? All those in favor of being a minor amendment indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Okay. It is a minor amendment. On to the motion itself.
Motion to deny.
I'll second. So motion to deny by C.J. Morrell, seconded by myself. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of item number 14 being denied indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Okay. Motion is denied.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 15 is resolution number 2023-080, Tennessee Grasslands Amended Preliminary Master Development Plan, Revised Final Master Development Plan. And this will include a public comment.
The owner and applicant request approval of an amended PMDP, revised FMDP for the Tennessee Grasslands Tennis Court. This is for an air-supported structure on 5.75 acres of the overall master plan for Tennessee Grasslands. This is located east of Browns Lane and south of Wood Lake Drive. In November 2022, the applicant installed a temporary air-supported tennis structure on this site. While the structure was generally in keeping with the alternative architecture of the approved site plan, the temporary nature of the structure was not. Additionally, the installed dome exceeded the 35-foot height maximum allowance. Following the scheduled removal of the dome in March 2023, the applicant met with city staff to clarify the nature of the proposed structure. The tennis dome is now indicated to be a temporary air-supported structure to be installed and maintained every year from November through March. The original proposed structure was a membrane material that was intended to be installed permanently. The amendment is intended to establish the dome air-supported structure as a permanent structure that will only be erected seasonally and require a life safety review conducted by the building department each year rather than required any formal building permits or temporary use permits. The applicant has confirmed that all future installations of the air-supported tennis structure would not exceed the 35-foot height maximum. The applicant has also installed additional vegetation to the north of the dome to increase the vegetative screening for adjacent property owners. The proposed amendment will change the tennis structure, but will still be in keeping with the nature of the approved alternative architecture. Additionally, the structure will only be erected 4 months out of the year rather than year-long, which decreases the impact on surrounding property owners. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission consider this request a minor amendment to the master plan. And staff does recommend the approval of the resolution with 3 conditions. And this item does have a public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'll open the public comment. Is there anybody who would like to speak in regards to item number 15? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment and ask for a representative for the applicant to step forward.
George Welch with Regan Smith. We request your approval. We have no questions and agree to all staff comments.
Let me begin by major or minor. I'll do a motion regarding whether it's a major or minor amendment.
Motion that it's a minor.
I'll second. Seconded by Mr. Wilson. Motion that it be a minor amendment by C.J. Morrell, seconded by Johnny Wilson. Any discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor of being a minor amendment indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. It's a minor amendment onto the item itself.
Move to approve with conditions.
Second. Okay, motion by Mr. Wilson to approve with staff's 3 conditions, second by Albert Strother. Any discussion? We've worked through all this at work session. Look good. We can call for the vote. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 16 is Bank Tennessee. I'm sorry. Item number 16 is resolution number 2023-092, Bank Tennessee amended site plan.
Val Martinez, planning staff. The owner and applicant are seeking approval of an amendment to the site plan for 544 Hartsville Pike. The site plan was previously approved by the Planning Commission back in December of 2022. This site plan was approved to construct a bank with access parking. According to the Gallatin zoning ordinance, financial services allows for 1 parking space per 500 square feet of gross area or 1 space per 300 square feet. All spaces in excess of the minimum are required to be paved with pervious pavers. As an alternative, the applicant is requesting submitting an alternative plan which will work to mitigate stormwater runoff and increase water filtration by removing the pervious pavers and expanding the bioretention pond. No other changes are proposed at this time. Planning staff recommends approval of the amended site plan with 3 conditions. And that pond is located at the front portion of the property.
Okay, do we have a representative for the applicant present?
Zach Baker with Greenwood Design. We agree to all staff comments, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I guess the intent here is y'all went over 100% runoff reduction on the bio pond to account for the offset. Okay. That makes total sense.
My question is just, I'd like for engineering to kind of touch on this. Why aren't we requiring cross-connection access to the property to the east, I guess it would be, of this?
There is an easement, but the topography just doesn't allow for it based on the existing site to the east. It'd be, I think there's about 3 feet of elevation change there. So it'd be a very steep drive. But like I said, there is an easement just in case it is redeveloped.
Redeveloped? I thought it was already developed to the east. Oh, redeveloped as in different from what it is now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have to trust Zach. I know it was a conversation that was had, but I didn't get that detail with staff before tonight.
I talked with Aaron.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I mean, if to the west, there's a building right in the way.
Right there, it's a drive-through for a coffee shop. So again, if that's ever redeveloped, then.
Well, but this site plan takes you all the way over to East Main Street, and the issue is, if you look 3 doors down from this is like Walgreens Pharmacy. I can tell you that Walgreens Pharmacy is one of the most dangerous places you can turn left out of, especially if your intention is to turn right onto Steam Plant Road. But it's the only way out of there. And as far as I think that's a doctor's office immediately adjacent to Walgreens, and I'm not sure what that is immediately adjacent to this property, but it just seems like an opportunity to connect those parking lots across the back. But you say there's like a 3-foot drop?
Yes, sir. Roughly 3 foot.
As far as wanting engineering to weigh in on this, is that something that should or can or should be overcome at this stage?
Yeah, it looks like they're showing the easement on the front. The back, it does appear to be the worst from a topo standpoint. They're even showing a retaining wall to be built adjacent to their parking lot. Try to make up for some of the grade challenges. Looks like I can't really tell what the adjoining property looks like. There's a little bit of survey information there, but I don't know if it's possible without redesigning what they already have. And I think this has been approved at one point already, so I'm not don't know what the discussion was at that meeting, probably earlier this year, I assume. They are showing an easement at the front of the property. As Zach said, it sounded like there was a compromise here. First go around to try to accommodate future redevelopment.
Anyone else on that? If I'm the only one that has that concern, it's not an issue.
You know, I'm with you. I'm always looking for opportunities to make these kinds of connections. But I think we may have done all we can do here already.
Okay. Anyone else?
What about, I mean, I guess there's a bunch of grade change from the parcels to the west to the north? As far as cross connection from the parcels to the west to the north. I mean, I know we're showing 5 parking spaces there. I guess it would be kind of wonky to tie in the space between those parking spaces and the tie-in connection to Main Street.
You saying basically come in through those parking spaces off of that little flag pole there?
I don't know if there's an opportunity there, and it may not make sense, because it looks like, based on the aerial, there's parking spaces that line that back, and it's the drive-through. I think the issue is the adjacent parcel is all drive-through. Like, it doesn't provide any cross-access at all.
It's maxed out, looks like.
I think this one's really unique. I mean, I think the fact that they were able to provide connections on Hartsville Pike and Main Street is a win.
It's a win. I just wish that we could connect all 4 of those businesses over to Walgreens to give access out to East Main Street. But it sounds like that's maybe that ship sailed already.
There's a Walgreens?
Unless Walgreens is the furthest one down to the right. Got a white building there. Just, if there's...
At one point in time, there was a right-of-way platted on the rear of all this.
Well, that's what I was hoping
all
you'd
that
bring
process of abandoning some rights to whatever may have been there, that would have been perfect. It looks like when it was originally developed, that was a really good idea that really just wasn't followed through on.
Okay. Well, I spoke my piece. Any other discussion on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Wilson, seconded by C.J. Morrell, and that's with all staff's, just a minute. 3 conditions. Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, then call for the vote. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Now we step back to item number 5. No, wait a minute, 8.
8?
Yeah, I tabled number 8, which is the site plan, but I don't believe we have the representative for the applicant present, do we? Okay.
And can we,
You've already given your presentation.
can we pass it with them not here?
Oh, yeah. One.
Y'all recommend approval?
No, they recommended denial because per the code, they have to recommend denial.
So you said we approved one in the same neighborhood,
Yeah, at 8:19.
819?
8:19.
I'll make a motion to approve with architecture as submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second.
Motion to approve?
It's a motion to
Motion to approve.
approve. Motion by C.J. Morrell to approve, seconded by Albert Strawther. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Motion approved. All right, we'll move to other business. Taisha, did you want to speak about the Open Meetings Act?
I never want to speak. But I just want to inform this body that a new bill was passed, Public Chapter Number 300, which now requires this body to have public comments on agenda-related items on your meetings and your work sessions. So expect that to be added to the agenda as of July 1st, which is when this bill goes into effect.
Only on items that require a public comment.
I'm sorry?
Only on items that require a public comment.
No, on the entire
item.
agenda. So whatever is on the agenda now, we have to allow the public to comment on.
And that same thing in regular meetings too?
Correct. But you all have the ability to give notice as to how that is going to happen. So if this body says you're required to sign in prior to the meeting, in order to be involved in the public comments, then the public has to adhere to that. But you have to give notice of that. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. So, right now, we have requirements on whether or not something has a public comment or not.
Correct. There's some statutes in our code that require public comments on certain agenda items. But now, all the items.
Do we have to state that there's a public comment? Like, we have to provide the opportunity for them to speak, essentially.
Correct. So the way I've recommended is, it's kind of like city council at the beginning of the meeting, prior to the agenda items being discussed, we'll have a section that says public comments on all agenda-related items.
Okay.
For those items that do have a special public comment, like
Will still happen.
the amendments, John, you could announce that there is a public comment time for those as well. So oftentimes at council, there'll be a public hearing, but someone will get up early and talk about that item out of the context of the public hearing.
Can
Item
we
number, but
have a sheet for them to sign in like we do if they want to speak before we have?
Correct. We just have to give notice of that. So
Okay. So I have a question, and I think I brought this up in our discussion the other day, but I'm not sure I really have my head wrapped around the answer. In a work session, we have a open public comment at the beginning of the work session, so you can talk about anything that's listed here that we're going to talk about tonight. And then at the end of the work session, we have this other business, and the room's vacated, and people have pretty much gone home, and we begin talking about another item that's brought up under other business, which wasn't printed on here. Is that a problem? Because we didn't have a public, we didn't announce it. They didn't have an opportunity to have their public input, their public comment, because it was under other business.
I guess it just depends on what we're dealing with under other business.
That's really my question, is do we need to be really careful about what we bring up under other business? Because by the end of the meeting, nobody had an opportunity to speak on it under public comment. They didn't know it was going to be talked about.
I would say yes, but I don't feel like this body has ever really handled serious matters under other business. Usually it's either listed on the agenda or it's something of an administrative nature that is handled under other business. But from my recollection, if it's something more onerous or serious, the staff is pretty good about putting it on the agenda under other business as a title, like we did this.
Yeah.
So,
We need to go back and change our bylaws, which we just revised, because we went into great detail about public comments, and rewrite those.
blame the legislature.
Oh, I know, yeah. Okay.
That means we can reduce their time? I'm sorry? That means we can reduce their time?
Any other business?